motion to accept, or is there any discussion? So moved. Support. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All same side. All right, quarterly financials.
Yeah, not like an activity this time of year. See, we had we just had the DEQ permit reimbursements, but the only activity we had plus our professional service. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that continuing doing the management of the site or the lake, so that.
All right,
I don't, probably shouldn't be too many questions here.
I think we're good.
Getting into the meat of it in May or so.
Yep. All right, any questions on the financials?
You need a motion to approve.
I think I do.
So move.
Support? Favor?
Aye.
This is Kathy Sue. I think.
Okay,
Hello, is this Kathy Sue? Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker here. Okay, you're with us.
hey Kathy.
Hey there, how are ya?
Good, good. Hey, we got started without you. We approved the minutes.
I don't blame ya. Thank
We
you.
approved the minutes and we just approved the financials.
Perfect.
Who seconded the financials? I'm sorry.
I did.
You did, okay. All right, thanks.
Hey there.
Hi there, how are you?
Really good.
There's a packet for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Paul, you're up.
All right. Stuff here first. So I'll give you this one when I'm done. I don't know if I have enough copies first.
Maybe I've got a couple.
Yeah, it looks like you got a couple of them.
I can put mine up just.
So you want me to go over the plan for this year first, or?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a page that has like a map of Goguac Lake with the guns on it. And what that shows is with our GIS spatial data, we can kind of show over time, you know, where the milfoil treatments are. Milfoil is one of the primary exotics on the lake. This is just kind of to show you that, because a lot of people say, oh, we treat the same areas every year. Why do we treat the same areas every year? Well, that's kind of true. I mean, there's, as you can see, some areas are more prone to the provide the proper habitat for milfoil to thrive in. So thinking of the north end of the lake and then kind of on the south end as well, down in those protected bays. But in general, it does move around a little bit. So it's a little bit of a moving target. That's why, you know, staying on top of it is important. Last year we did a bigger treatment because there was a new herbicide out that we wanted to try and it seemed to work pretty well.
It did.
Had good success on other lakes with it as well. So we'll probably continue with that particular herbicide. Hopefully we won't have as much milfoil come back this year. And then on the back of that is the pricing for this year. And we were able to maintain the pricing. Some of the contractors that we work with asked for price increases with the cost of living going up. Some of the chemical costs went up. One of the advantages of PLM is they buy things in quantity. They knew this cost increase was coming, so they bought a lot of product ahead of time before the price increases came in. So we were able to keep those prices for this year.
So
Now, next year, all bets are off, but this year at least we can keep the prices that we had.
so the Floridone, so that's sonar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we still use some Floridone in years where it's not.
Yeah, we still have that option. You didn't have enough milfoil at the end of the season to really qualify.
So we were able to do some, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So they allow, I didn't know we were allowed to use it at all if we didn't.
Yep, we are.
Okay.
But yeah,
2,700.
it's one of those things where if it's cost effective, it makes sense.
Yeah, 2,700 bucks a gallon.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, so that started out when I started, 30 years ago, it was about $1,500, so it's.
Mhm.
At least we don't have to pay
almost
sales tax. on it.
What's that?
At least we don't have to pay sales tax.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the new chemical?
Priscilla, which, yeah, it's about.
Oh, I see
the
it.
fourth one up
Yeah.
in the bottom there.
And that's relatively, well, what's PDU?
So a PDU is a kind of a made up factor. Basically, it's 3.2 ounces. So it equates
Oh,
to,
PDU is 3.2 ounces.
yes, so it's very concentrated stuff. It's very specific to milfoil, so it's highly selective. So
So it's a
very effective.
relatively good value.
Yep, and what we found is by mixing it with diquat,
Mhm.
you can bring the cost down. So the cost for the diquat plus 4 PDU per cell, of course, $575 an acre, which is cheaper than like triclopyr granular at the rates that we would use, which is typically around 180 pounds. So that 504.30 is based on 120 pounds, but you basically have to put 50% more in there
Mhm.
to kill the milfoil, so that brings you up, into the 700. So the Priscilla-core diquat is cheaper and more effective in my mind.
And you don't show a dose rate for the fluoridone because it's just.
Nope,
it's
that's
just-
based on the volume
Just
of
the-
water. It's a part per billion.
So 1 gallon is,
Yeah, I think we typically on this lake used about 18 gallons.
yeah, so the years that we would have normally, like, we didn't qualify this year, but if you had enough, so
Yeah,
that's
you'd
why
be
it
up
was
in the $40,000.
27, yeah.
Yeah, to do it. So that's why it's only worthwhile if it's cost effective. You have to have quite a bit of milfoil to warrant that.
Let me be the first to tell you, if John ever loses his daytime job, it's gonna be.
No, I just,
Yeah.
interesting. I would love to get this electronically. if we could.
Yeah, I can
Sure,
send that to you.
forward.
Yep. And then, look at the agenda. Are there any questions on this year as far as the schedule? We're waiting for ice off, obviously, to do the sample.
We're getting close.
Yeah, it's starting to break them on the
Yeah,
show.
There's ducks out there or the geese out there.
So the guy on the island has a bubbler,
Oh, okay.
which, based on how cold it is, but it's now spread out to, so if we get a little wind and,
Yeah,
yeah.
it starts breaking up pretty fast.
Yeah,
You get
it's-
windy
yeah.
and rain.
We're supposed to get both, yes, wind.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're all set to go, just waiting for the ice.
I'll email you
Okay,
when I
Yep.
was off, like I always do.
Now, remember, we're gonna work with Patty on the first application, so we can alleviate some of the complaints that came from the.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
That-
you can give
that's
me a
at the
little
north
heads up.
end, the
Yep.
Folks at the north, okay.
Yep.
Yep, I remember
So-
that.
What was the issue?
Got a few love emails.
She had to go swimming in the morning, the application.
Oh, they wanted notice, they wanted advance.
Yeah,
notice.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, so she got out there and couldn't get
Are
back.
you gonna contact them or did we, I can't remember if we put it on.
I talked to our communications person and she was gonna somehow come
Yeah.
up with
So we
something,
usually
so,
know like about 5 to 7 days ahead of the treatment. So
okay.
Hopefully that's enough.
Did we used to send a mailing in advance or did we do a posting?
Well, the only mailing that's required is the season notice.
Yeah.
So that comes out typically in April.
Yep.
So PLM is required to do that by the permit to send that out.
In
But
roughly.
that doesn't give exact dates, that gives you approximate
Yeah,
timing.
because it's weather dependent.
Right,
So
exactly.
what time of year is the first application?
Typically, it's like the 3rd week of May.
Yeah, right around.
In that range.
Yeah, okay.
And this year, the Memorial Day is fairly late again, so it's likely gonna be before Memorial Day for sure.
There's usually a yard marker too, isn't there?
Yep, so they also are required to post the shoreline for any areas that are treated. Then 100 feet beyond that on either side.
And this will appear where, because we're not mailing anymore.
We're gonna do it this year. This is the
Last
last
year,
year,
okay.
so the next program won't have that in it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that's when we get into that, I don't know if we even have that on the agenda, probably should have.
Now, go ahead if you want to,
Patty.
if you want to touch on that though,
Yeah.
if you want to touch on.
Yeah,
this.
if you wanna go over the
Sure.
newsletter.
Yeah.
So we plan on sending this out probably early May. And it's basically the first page kind of explains the project and that, this is the last year of the 5-year program. I don't know if we're gonna set hearing dates today or not. I don't think we necessarily have to, but
Well,
I think it'd be helpful.
I think we
Okay.
should, yeah, because,
yeah, if we have a date before we send this out, obviously I can put that on there too.
okay,
And then I got, a smaller version of this map and then explaining what,
if you're gonna mail this, then I don't need electronically. We're gonna
Okay.
do more mailing, yeah, that's,
okay. Yep, so. And then we got the notice on there about the association meeting
yep,
Tuesday after.
Yep. so I know Memorial Day is
Memorial
then the 30th.
Right,
Yeah.
yep.
It's always the Tuesday after.
So, I don't know if there's any questions on this.
Nope.
Sweet. But we would, like I said, we'll have the date on there. For the hearing if we set that today.
Yep. And do we want to move to the proposed budget? Yep.
Sorry. I think this was the same budget that was presented back in December,
Yeah,
but the board tabled it at that time.
yeah, and that's an increase of.
64,000, I think.
Yeah.
Is existing.
Yep.
Yep, I got that.
$5,500.
Yep, yeah, 64,000 is right in the budget, so. Yeah, I think we discussed that we haven't raised the assessment in at least 5 years.
Right,
Yeah, at least 5 years.
Well, I don't think we raised, yeah.
I don't think ever.
Yeah.
It's always been the same assessment from, so.
yeah, and since the last time you have a new exotic, you have Kabamba, which didn't have last time, so.
More invasive species and then
Yep.
just material cost.
Yep. Yep, it's like everything else, costs aren't going down these days.
Then we had to absorb the portion that the city.
We did. We used to get $15,000 in our, yep. Yeah, you guys promised to get that back this year.
I know the process that we have to go through to get it, if you want me to share it with you.
No, I know it's, yeah, it was nice while it lasted. I'll say it that way. How was that?
Is that an at-large assessment or was it?
No, they
So-
just contributed. So
Okay.
for the first probably 10 years, they did. Yeah, they did. We have more than 10 years. They did sort of an arbitrary based on
Yeah.
the frontage that so they.
Yeah, I think they took that for the Willard Beach.
That was kind of the theory. So it wasn't really an assessment per se. They contributed, but that stopped several years ago.
All right.
So.
What are your individual assessments, John, if you don't mind?
Oh, man, so there's the 4 levels, it's like,
Oh,
so the single,
I think Andrew's got that.
Less than.
you have it, Andrew, yeah. Lakefront is like
Lakefront,
160 or something.
176.
Okay.
Lake Access is
Not bad.
44.
One more time, what was the lake access?
Lake Access was 44 and some change. I'm just gonna do the dollar amounts.
Yep,
Lakefront was 176.
And half of that. was for-
Yeah, Lake Condos was 88
yep.
and.
Commercial, There's two commercial.
Yeah.
I think that was,
Commercial's 352,
which is just two.
double that, yeah, so it goes 1.5, 0.25.
And I think we're the only lake board period that has this tiered.
Yeah,
Yeah. There was a lot of discussion about that initially. I don't know if we want to open that.
Re-examine it.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to.
It is kind of a can of worms to try to change things, but if there's,
Well,
strong.
it's up to this board.
It is. That's what I was saying. Do we
strong
want to open that?
Opposition, it's probably worthwhile, but if it's like one or two people, it's probably not worth changing the whole thing.
No, I was saying the other way. We simplify it,
Oh, make it.
Yep. But it's up, I mean, thoughts on that? I mean, I'm kind of thinking leave it alone and just make the adjustment for the $6,500. What do you, any thoughts?
Why don't you put together a proposal for the next time that we do it, not this.
Okay, so we'll adopt it. Yep.
Yeah, and then give some more thought to it.
Okay. Yeah, let's,
You think I'll just cut it down to like 2 categories or?
yeah, I mean, yeah, we can get philosophical on that. The commercial, I know there was some strong feelings about that. And then the condo, there was some strong feelings about that.
Condo lobbied real hard.
They did, and the deeded backlot thing, we had a few people that, I mean, a very few people that I can't even see the lake, why should it be assessed at all, so. I
Yeah, but they had lake rights, so.
They did, right.
If they sell the
Yes.
house, they're probably gonna make sure that people know that.
So, for $44 and $88, I don't know if we want to open in the commercial that there's only 2.
Right.
Well, chemical costs could, skyrocket for next year.
Yeah,
Some of them went up, some of them stayed the same, so it's market volatility, but also, there was kind of it might be a short-term thing, but there was a company that bought out another company.
Right.
Basically bought out the competition. But there's also another company that makes those same chemicals. They haven't got theirs approved through Michigan yet.
Okay.
But once they get approved, that could bring the prices back down again.
so I think what Mark's saying, we'll do a vote on approving the 69,500. And then next time we can discuss whether we want to open the discussions on it or make any changes to the period. And I can share with the lake board too, just any input if they think.
Would that be worthwhile talking about at the association meeting, or is that gonna be a can of worms?
The wakeboards will dominate the discussion.
Yeah, I just think, yeah, I think if I just ask the board, that's the idea of the voluntary board is they're supposed to represent their respective areas.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. So can I get a motion to support the $69,500 23 to 27 budget?
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All the same side. Andrew.
yes. I did a quick count while you were talking about the benefits. There's 143 for your records for future when you go to discuss this. There's 143 properties at the 0.25, so that's the lake access.
How many?
143.
143.
No, this is based off of benefits, so it's not truly based off the taxable value for this assessment roll.
Right, yeah,
That's
that's
why I was just given as a reference on here.
143 of those.
143 of those, 107 of the condos,
107, okay.
270 of the lake frontage, 2 commercial.
Okay.
So that gives you your number count of where you're at. So when you
That's good
consider
stuff.
how you're adjusting those for the possible in the future, or simplifying that, when you reduce one or increase one, it's going to adjust with the annual rate. If you put them all to like 1s and 2s, then obviously their individual rate will go down because your 0.25s are now paying 1. So
Right.
it splits that up. Yeah.
And
Just to kind of give you guys a
What-
background too, we work with
what was gonna get, just ask you that.
50 lake boards.
Yeah,
And it usually averages between about 120 up to $400 for assessment. So.
and do you see,
Independent,
what do you
very-
see for the You know, are there condos, are there, you run into discussions
Yeah,
about
we
that?
have that, and a lot of them were, to be honest, set up before we became involved.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's some that have like 10 different categories.
Oh, they do, oh, so that's
There's
not,
several that are more complex than this.
okay, well,
There's a
that's,
couple that go on lake frontage, that gets really complicated.
Hmm.
Like on.
Footage.
How many linear
Frontage,
feet, yeah, and then it gets very
It's like
tricky on if
yeah.
they,
Yeah,
well,
we don't wanna
1
go
foot,
there.
2 feet can make a big difference on your
Yeah.
assessment,
Exactly.
yeah.
yeah, I don't think we wanna go there, but that's,
I would say you're a little more complex, but you're definitely not the worst case scenario, so.
well, and I don't know which one of those we would consolidate, you know?
Sounds like they're all pretty fair, really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, if I got the same as a condo assessment as a backlot, I might,
Right.
my assessment doubles, right?
Yeah.
Or almost doubles. And if I condo owner, I get charged a full lakefront. And if we lower the commercial, that will raise higher.
Everybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it all looks, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to generate more revenue or are we trying to be more fair?
Yeah, well, we're talking about $6,500 difference too. I mean, allocated over whatever that adds up to.
Allocated over 400 and 550 parts,
Yeah.
523 parcels, yeah.
Yeah, 523 units. I mean,
So it's not a lot.
it's nickels and dimes.
You know, obviously, if you raise the 2.5 to 5, that means the lake access is paying more, but the condos are gonna pay less. It's gonna average that down, and it's likewise if you do any adjustments accordingly, so. The people who aren't paying, the lake access are gonna pay more, the people who are the like frontage, if that gets dropped down to like everything's normalized to a 0.75 or 0.6,
Yep.
you're not gonna make everybody happy.
Isn't it the channel, people have been really complaining more than anyone else about their assessment?
We talked about another category for channel way back, because they pay, you know, full,
176.
yeah, 176, yep.
That's a possibility. Any other additional categories would reduce the overall rate for everybody else if that were a different or adjust things if there's another category which
Well,
separate.
no, it would raise the.
It would raise the rates for, yes,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
raise the rates for the lake
And that's
access
just
or
no
lake frontage, yeah.
so they treat Kabamba
Right.
in there. I mean, they treat.
They're getting more of the treatment. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
they're the
They're
first,
not getting any treatment.
yeah, they're getting more benefit from the weed treatment.
Yeah,
That's another good way to look at it as well.
I
yes.
think we beat that snot out of this 15 years ago or whatever it was, and we went, I mean, hours.
It sounds like you studied it.
I mean, I just, but it's coming back to me now. We spent a lot of time on all those points and the deeded, you know, and then in 15 years of operation, the only complaints that I remember are a couple deeded backlot folks. And then a couple complained about that the commercial should be more. But other than that,
Then, of course, Mrs. Batch always complains.
well, she was the backlot, right? That's what I'm saying. That's one of the couple. And then you know, the little, right there on Lake Shore.
Mhm.
There's that little, they have like their own little access point.
Mhm.
And a lot of those people didn't even know, because that goes pretty far.
Yeah.
But there's only a handful of slips. So it's like a waiting list for the slips. So there's 30 houses or something on that, but 8 slips.
Territorial war going on.
And so it's a locked gate, so you have access, but you gotta ask for the key
Is
if you
that
don't
right
have
with
the
that
slip.
thing, the channel kind of wise there?
It's in the little channel, so on
Yeah.
Lake Shore, right? So
Yep.
it's, yeah, it's very right at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. So a few of those,
Is that an association too that operates
Yes.
that?
yeah. In the boat slips don't come up very often, like I said, there's 4, and a lot of those people, it goes pretty far. It's up by Westlake School and stuff. There's people with, and they didn't even know until they get.
Tax bill. or-
They get this $44 and it's $44. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, we said we'll talk about that next time, but I'm feeling like,
I can see why they would be upset though, if they don't even have the lake access really.
well, you
Even
can,
though,
they can get the key. They were a member of their association. There's no dues for that, but they can't slip a boat. They could technically launch a boat there.
This isn't very broke. I
It's
mean,
not.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
think
not
it
worth
is.
a whole lot of fixing.
I agree.
Isn't there another slip somewhere near?
Yes, then Orchard, that Orchard Drive, but those people live on, and then there's Sherman Drive.
Sure.
So there's those other two, yeah. Orchard Drive is like 8 houses and they have a dock,
Right.
kind of right there, and I don't hear any controversy there. And then Sherman Lake is just Sherman Drive. And there's a lot, I think pretty much everybody on there has a dock and a slip, and those are backlots, so. So if I live by Westlake School versus I live in Sherman Drive and get the same, that was the nature of those couple of complaints, or Mrs. Batch, because it was the walk through the woods to get to the very end of the channel. That's her.
She refused to pay it, and then she ended up paying.
Yeah,
She got stung on late payments, and then I think went back on her taxes.
it just ends up on your tax bill.
So, at some point.
She got very personal,
And the penalties and interest add up pretty.
but she had so much money that it didn't matter.
So,
Okay,
yeah, so I mean, we can talk about it next time, but I mean,
So one of the questions that I had was on the schedule for the city's assessment.
Yeah.
Is that, so it's not on either the summer tax or winter tax bills, right?
well, that's how historically, it's always the invoice has gone out in May.
yes.
Okay.
And then if you don't pay it, it ends up on the summer tax bill in August.
Oh, okay, so that's,
And unfortunately, most people don't pay it because it ends up on the tax bill, and that's why we end up kind of.
so there's still one more assessment that goes out this year, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
May, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, everything we're doing here is for the.
Cause I saw that you had 38.6 or whatever for, I'm like, your budget 64.
Oh, no, there's an assessment.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So you're doing
Yeah,
great
there's still due about 48,000.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Once a year,
So it's on like your winter taxes or.
Summer.
It comes out in May, and then there's a time to pay, and if it doesn't pay, then it gets anything on delinquent. I don't know if it's rolling to the summer or the winter, because the summer bill will be out in July already.
Oh, maybe it
So
does.
it
Maybe it
might
goes
be
to
the
winter.
Yeah.
And that kind of goofs us up a little bit.
Seems like it is summer though, because we get a whole bunch of,
Maybe they
Revenue in
maybe we
October.
get, and it's possible then that maybe it's a 30-day, how long do they have to pay it? 30
I
days?
think it's 30 days.
Then that could roll, because if it comes out in May, it's due by the end of May, beginning of June, the treasurer would have to roll that to the summer taxes by the middle of June.
Yeah.
And then it would be due by August.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well then that's.
And that's probably,
Okay.
it's very
So they are
speedy at
paying-
that time.
They are paying from the invoice then, okay.
Yeah.
Or most are.
So looking over what was done for the prior 5 years, we have the assessment roll. Aaron had a couple of people in our office look over, make sure there's no splits or combinations, no changes. Typically there aren't, but if there was one, the last thing what we're gonna have to do is just update owners' names. Obviously with most recent, we'll have this built out. And then just before notices go out, the names are obviously double checked again before the treasurer sends the bill. This isn't gonna be too hard to get this set. We now have the budget. We can pop this into the formula and get to what each of these is going to be. Just update with the current names, taxable value, and update what the annual benefit's gonna be, or the annual amount for each parcel. The actual assessment process, we do not have the special assessment review board anymore. That's not a valid board. So as part of this process, this will have to go through what typically would be a special assessment would be through the city commission. So there'll be public hearings. And there'll be a set time of how that, and we can work with the city attorney to determine exactly how those resolutions go. Usually it's a 2 or 3 session where they set a public, have a meeting to set the public hearing, have another meeting to have the public hearing, and then the final meeting to confirm the roll. And 2 of those sometimes can be done at the same meeting. That is the public's opportunity to protest. And once they make their protest, that protects their right to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So,
Have we ever had someone go there?
No, not that I can remember.
no,
Look like the
very
land,
rarely do you.
And when we had the public hearing, we had very low turnout.
two.
Yeah, it looks like the last public hearing was on October 19, 2017.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
yeah,
That would be before you do the next one, so that
Right.
would be sometime, you'd obviously want to get this set
yeah.
this year, so that come May of 2023, you can just get your bills issued right away.
So do we want to set a date then?
I would think you would. I mean,
Yeah.
just to-
Yeah. I mean, we can
Don't-
adjust it if we have, because
So we felt like last time we waited to the last minute.
it did. And we're, what, City Hall, I mean, City Chambers, is that how we did the,
We did them here at,
I remember that
Yeah,
public
we
works, yeah. So same, that's your,
that'd be fine by me.
okay.
Okay,
Did we have anyone come up last time?
Last
We had a
time.
couple.
A couple people.
Two
And I
people,
think
but
they were
just-
more,
They just
sure,
listened.
sure, yeah, they weren't really protesting. They were
Now,
just.
was that as your special assessment review board, or was that as the lake board?
As a lake board.
Okay, because the actual resolution creating the special assessment role will also have a public hearing portion at the city commission.
Yeah.
So that is
That's
separate.
statutory, it's separate.
That is statute.
That's new. Right? That's-
Well, that is required for any special assessment roles.
oh.
That takes place after our hearings though,
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. So and it's probably good to have your hearing, because that way, if there is any changes prior to it going to the city commission, those changes can be made beforehand.
But our hearing is optional.
I'm not sure how your board is operating. You
I
want to
think by
check on
the
that.
part 309 statute, you have to have.
That's, yeah, we've always
And that's,
thought it was mandatory.
Yeah,
I'm gonna defer to the expert on your thing. I
State
know the special
statutes.
state statute for
For
assessment.
the
of taxes.
enabling to form a lake board, that's the requirements for
and then
that.
the city, because they're authorizing. the
There's a
assessment.
fiduciary.
The assessment role, exactly. That has its own public hearing
Yep.
component to it, which at that point, that is where if someone came to the lake board, said their piece, they would still have to go, if they really vehemently oppose the role, show up at the city commission.
I remember doing that.
And
Not having many.
that only allows them to then truly appeal to the FTT, the Michigan Tax Tribunal. The commission doesn't have to, if the commission could choose to order the review again and make changes, that is obviously their prerogative. But if nothing has changed and they could commit to the assessment role as it stood and as was approved before, then the owner of the property would have the ability to go. That's one thing the state tax, I'm sorry, the Michigan Tax Tribunal will ask is whether they formally protested to the commission.
Do they have to protest to the?
Yes.
Commission, or do they have to send a letter?
That I would have to check into, is whether they can just submit a letter in protest or whether they have to appear in person.
Okay.
Seems
We
like I
haven't,
remember getting a letter. At the, no, this is coming back me to it, the commission, at least one person writing in, because they read that into the record, but.
yeah, I will have to check on that to be certain. We have a special assessment, mall maintenance in Kalamazoo, and we've never had anybody protest. There was a comment card period before anything, but there was never actually somebody who said, I
How
formally
many lake boards
protest.
do you have in Kalamazoo?
We don't have any.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Oh,
Now
that's
Portage does probably, and I'll find out.
Oh, you-
3 or
you're
4.
doing Portage too?
Starting April 1st, we will. I
Congratulations.
will be very busy, but no, thank you.
Which lake?
I'm assuming Westlake and Austin Lake will probably
Austin
have.
Lake, Westlake, Austin Lake, Portage Lake, is that in Portage or is that in?
Long Lake.
Portage Lake is
Long
down
Lake.
in,
Yeah.
Gordonick would be, Long Lake is bordering between the
Yeah, they're
two,
both in two.
to Schoolcraft Township.
Pavilion and,
Pavilion, yeah.
and then Gordonick is in Schoolcraft.
Schoolcraft and a little bit, but not much. And then
Yep.
Portage Lake is actually in, going down to,
Vicksburg?
yeah, south of Vicksburg, because it goes almost into St. Joseph County.
Yeah, Vicksburg, yeah.
Yeah. So I know Westlake and Austin definitely.
Yeah, that's,
So
Those are big lakes.
those
yeah, I
are very
mean,
big lakes.
Westlake's small.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So. Yeah, looking forward to picking up
Awesome.
additional. But no, I'll know about that, but I will check on that and whether or not that is something that we can also check into with the resolutions or the statute and see if that's, if a letter comment is sufficient, so.
Great. So I don't see any public comment. No one would be, no one's apparently watching.
Is Nelson online too?
He said we could call him, but he wasn't planning.
Oh.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna go, yeah. Board member comments?
Did you want to say your dates or?
Oh, yeah, we gotta pick our date.
Yeah.
Or we could leave it up to staff. to
Yeah.
Like I do.
Well, I can get you the information as soon as I put this together. I mean, obviously, my primary focus right now is March board review. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna put my foot down on that.
John, if you just confer with John as the
Yeah.
chairperson.
Okay.
I can get you, once I get the assessment roll set and I will, which basically means by the end of March, I'm gonna have something for you.
So what,
And then you guys can work
what
out your
time of
dates.
year do you, I mean, what's appropriate? I mean, we can be flexible on, pick a month and we'll.
You don't have that many snowbirds on the lake, right, that go south there.
Oh, there's quite a few.
There's quite a few, yeah.
So you
So,
probably want to do it
summer,
before middle of October. I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, there are two of them, like two meetings, 30 days, and then you have a commission.
so like.
Yeah, ideally, you
September,
want your
October.
commission set all done before the end of fall, so you're ready to go. I don't know if they've
So
done.
you want the commission.
You would want your commission done, well, at least before May, I guess we could carry it over before then, but yeah, I mean,
We
plan
do
it back.
September, October, and
Then start the
commission
rest of the
November,
stuff,
and,
yeah,
yeah,
we'll get with the city attorney and find out how they wanna,
yeah.
how many to spread those out.
So we could do, and that needs to be approved by the board, right, those dates.
I think you can just, I think we're giving you approval,
Okay.
set dates.
Okay,
Yep, go ahead and set them, be based on availability of facilities and notice.
so late summer, early fall.
Yep,
Yeah, if you set that date in the next month, let me
put it in the
know,
letter.
Oh, yeah.
then I'll put it in the newsletter.
I wanna say thank you very much for being so forward thinking on these things and giving me plenty of time as opposed to, oh, yes, we have a hearing and that's in 2 weeks, and we need this now. So you guys are
Our
way ahead of
numbers
the
haven't
curve.
changed. My wife's been on here
Yeah,
for
this is pretty
20
much
some odd years.
the original, yeah.
This is so good. This is great. I love seeing this. This is really good working.
No, okay. Well, John's been here for a little while.
I think, yeah, founding member.
Charter member.
That's right. Great. I think if there's no other board comments, we're adjourned.
So this is the new video system for the meeting.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
can,
Oh, that's
I
just
can
your-
add